Joining me now, Steve Chaggaris in our CBS newsroom. He's senior political editor. Joins me from Washington. Okay, Steve, these are pretty familiar names. What can you tell us about this announcement?
Well, no surprises in here. These are the people who have been really the communications staff for months at the end of the campaign for some of them, and some of them, like Hope Hicks, have been there from the very beginning, Scavino as well. And so they're really just sort of transitioning into White House roles. So it's not, from an interest standpoint, it's interesting that these are at least people like Spicer, Miller, these are the people we're going to be, the press will be interacting with in Washington on a day-to-day basis. Spicer has been around this town for a long time, has been interacting with the press for a while. You know, since the election, both Spicer and Jason Miller have been holding a daily conference call with reporters, so it's not too much of a shock to see these names now being transferred into similar roles in the White House.
Steve, a lot of names were floated around for press secretary. What can you tell us about those names, and why do you think he picked Spicer?
Well, you know, that's the concern that some reporters had with some of the other names that were being floated around. People like, really, Laura Ingraham was a name, you know, the radio talk show host who really sort of has a clear point of view and is not necessarily in line with the media or in love with the media, frankly. And so that would have been definitely more of an adversarial relationship if she took the role of the day-to-day press secretary job. So somebody like Spicer, who most of us in Washington have worked with regularly, at least we have a sense of what we're getting in that role. Now, whether that is going to continue or whether it would be an adversarial situation, we'll see. You know, I can tell you that this is a group of folks that isn't necessarily forthcoming with a lot of information. They keep leaks to a minimum. In terms of answering questions immediately, it's not necessarily a team that is out there. And I think that's probably what the Trump team's strategy is not to really put too much out there for people, react to things when you need to react to them, but don't get too much information out ahead of the president-elect himself and ultimately the president himself. And so it's a pretty disciplined team, and I anticipate it'll continue to be disciplined moving forward.
I think it's fair to say that the Obama administration completely revolutionized the use of social media during a presidency and administration. What do we know about Dan Scavino, and how do you think he's going to develop the social media strategy for President-elect Trump?
Well, the social media strategy has already been developed. Right? I mean, we see the president-elect and candidate Trump tweeting as if he was just a regular citizen, constantly tweeting. You're not going to see, I don't know if we're going to see that change or not. I mean, Scavino's pretty aggressive on Twitter. You've seen Trump do some videos direct to camera that they put on Facebook, that they tweet out. At least they did that during the campaign. So there will be an effort, and I think there will continue to be an effort to circumvent people like you and I, the traditional media, in an effort to get their own message out directly to Americans. This is something that we saw with the President Obama. It's something that they aggressively did more of in the social media age with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and other stuff. And so I think you're going to see that continue with Trump. They have figured out an effective way to really go around us as the traditional media to get their message out, and I can't imagine you're going to see Trump not continue to do that. I'm sure he'll continue to do that.
I want to ask you about Hope Hicks, someone who's been by his side on the trail. She has a pretty big title, Director of Strategic Communications. What can you tell us about her, and what does this role mean for her?
I can't tell you what the title means and what her role is moving forward. All I can tell you is she has been there from the very beginning of the Trump campaign. She has zero political experience going into all of this, and the last 18 months really has been her trial by fire. And clearly he values her. Clearly he feels that she deserves a pretty high-level position in the White House and has given her a title of Strategic Communications Director. What that means, I can't tell you. We'll have to see how this unfolds.
Steve Chaggaris in Washington. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Rena.